If you went back in time to 2008 and stopped me outside of the theater as I was coming out of Iron Man, and you told me that that movie was going to spawn a cinematic universe that was so successful and so wildly amazing that eventually Agatha Harkness would get her own series, I would not believe you. I don't know if I believe it today, and it's here. Anyway, Haussamaniacs, Agatha All Along is here, and I've got to do what I got to do, so I've got to give you the early evolution of Agatha freaking Harkness in the comics. And me being me, I'm going to put just as much effort into it as I do any other video. I'm just probably not going to have the same enthusiasm when I'm talking about it, because it's an old lady. She's a witch. In the show, she's Katherine Hahn, and I've always kind of been a fan of Katherine Hahn, not really thought of her much one way or the other, but in WandaVision I was like, damn, Katherine Hahn can get it. So I mean, there's that to it, but like in the comics, she's an old woman and like gross. An old hag. Unattractive. Which we shouldn't judge people based off of that. She was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby back in 1969 for Fantastic Four number 94. Reed Richards and Sue Storm had just had their first child, Franklin Benjamin Richards. Benjamin Franklin. Franklin Benjamin. So he was named after the thing. Just put that together as I was reading it. Due to their lifestyle, they were going to send him off to be raised under the care of a child-rearing specialist upstate. This would indeed be one Miss Agatha Harkness, a frail-looking, very old woman who was coming out of retirement for this special case. The entire Fantastic Four go out to Agatha's place to ditch the newborn baby and meet Agatha and her cat Ebony. Due to a storm, they need to spend the night. Now, the whole point of sending Franklin away was to keep him safe. But on the very first night there, the Frightful Four figure out where they are and come to attack. The Frightful Four do incapacitate each member of the Fantastic Four, and then Medusa does turn on them and they take her down too. The Frightful Three then come face to face with Agatha Harkness. Her cat Ebony transforms into a bigger cat and chases the wizard off into the night, while Agatha herself transforms the Sandman into solid rock and summons a demon to deal with Paste Pot Pete. None of the superheroes really question what happened as they find Agatha and Franklin safe in their room. Ben kind of puts two and two together and thinks that Agatha's probably a witch, but he just brushes it off. And that would be the first appearance of Agatha Harkness. She next appeared in Fantastic Four number 103 by Stan Lee and John Romita Sr. Namor and Magneto are attacking and Richard Nixon needs answers, so that means baby Franklin has to go safely upstate. While dropping Franklin off with Miss Harkness, the elderly woman does have a bit of an all-knowing air about her, but alludes to her true nature being a secret from her clients. 4 issues later in Fantastic Four number 107 by Stan Lee and John Buscema, stuff is happening and Sue decides to visit Franklin and Agatha. They both seem to know that Sue is there even while she's invisible. Sue gets the feeling that Agatha is keeping secrets but brushes it off as she takes good care of Franklin. Onward now to Fantastic Four number 109, once again by Stan Lee and John Buscema. Ben, Reed, and Johnny are getting wrecked by a nihilist in the negative zone when Agatha Harkness calls Sue on the phone to give her hell because she's supposed to come visit Franklin. Sue cries because that's what Stan Lee thought of women, but she is legitimately torn between her duties to the team and her responsibilities as a mother. Now, if we judge this next issue by its cover, we are looking at some serious Agatha Unleashed. Reed is trapped in space in the negative zone, and the Thing is being a real piece of garbage. He can transform back and forth as he pleases now, but that has affected his mind. Like, it's a side effect. He's not a real dick. But they are trying to save Reed, and they just can't do it. They manage to get him a little gyro thingy, but Reed can't use it with a nihilist watching. So Agatha comes in kind of out of nowhere and demands some chalk and a candle. She then draws a magic circle and says, "Higher, higher, mystic fire. I cry the name no ear can hear. I call the sources of timeless fear. Now blow ye winds, I stand unbowed, for I am cloaked in shade and shroud." You like my Agatha impression? It's Agatha Harkness. I can't care. This would be a good time to ask you guys to hit like on this video and subscribe to my channel. I do videos like this more often with characters I do care about or can care about. Or find myself, like the Shocker, I didn't care as much about the Shocker, found myself caring about the Shocker. Agatha Harkness. Can't care. Wind picks up in the Baxter Building and all around New York, and somehow dozens of Reeds pop up in the negative zone, allowing him to escape. The Fantastic Four reunite and Ben gets pissy, and no one even acknowledges what Agatha just did. She's just standing in the background of one panel. No one even looks at her. I know they've seen some stuff in their time, but if my 100-and-a-half-year-old nanny just conjured up magical crap across dimensions, I'd probably have a few questions. They also don't address it in issue number 111. Reed just says, "Thanks for saving me," and Sue's all like, "Oh, I still don't know how you did it. Oh well." She's obviously a witch. How can they not see this? This is like a dumber reveal than frickin' Twilight and Edward's a vampire. It's obviously a witch. We all know it. Agatha takes Franklin and they go back upstate with Sue, and Agatha hints that there may be something special about Franklin, but it's subtle. She just mentions that a news report upset him from 2 rooms away and he didn't hear it. Oh, and the thing is running amok in New York, which is why he fights the Hulk in the next issue, and that is being reported on the news, which is causing Sue to wonder why Reed and Johnny aren't helping in the fight. Then Agatha just casually leads her over to a room with a crystal ball and they see what Reed is doing. It's science stuff. Sue decides it's again time to leave her baby with the witch and return to the city. Man, we are flying through these. So issue 113, the Fantastic Four are on an adventure, and on their way home, the Watcher shows up and says, "Beware the Overmind." And after he leaves, Agatha Harkness Mufasa's herself and Franklin into the sky to tell them they are in grave danger. She has no more information than that, just they must flee, they're in danger. 114 has Agatha show up in a flashback as Reed tells everyone who was there about her cloud warning. I went back and checked, it's at least new art. Then they also go to Agatha's place and they ask her about her warning, and she's like, "I don't know." Then Reed asks about the Watcher as he gave a similar warning, and she gets an idea. Also, it seems like by this point they've all just accepted she's a witch. They're like, "Can you use your occult powers to help us here?" And she's like, "Maybe." Like, did Stan Lee forget that he was kind of building this up as a secret? Has been nearly 2 years since she debuted. Anyway, Ben lends his strength and Johnny his flame so that she can reach into space and talk to the Watcher. Yes, Agatha freaking Harkness has spoken to the Watcher, one-on-one conversation. Not many people have done that, but one of them is Agatha. Anyway, he just ends up saying that he'll relay info on the Overmind, but it won't change a thing. By issue 116, the battle is raging on with the Overmind. Archie Goodwin is writing now. Did Stan Lee just stop writing this in the middle of an arc? Yeah, he did. Anyway, Marvel's first family are battling the Overmind and they are losing. Sue gets away and Agatha appears before her, but this time, she's just there to tell Sue that Franklin is fine, and she is fine, and she needs to keep fighting because the world depends on it. She tells Sue to go get Dr. Doom to help. And Sue does. And then the Stranger shows up and sends the Overmind to a desolate universe contained within a single mote of dust. And right now, I'm wishing I was making a video on the Overmind because he is so much more interesting. Heatniks show up 10 years later in Defenders number 111. But Agatha Harkness is right here in the very next issue of Fantastic Four, where the Richards family's taking a bit of a breather at Agatha's house on Whisper Hill. Nothing much happens. Johnny seems to have lost Crystal the Inhuman. I believe they are dating at this point. So he asks Agatha to use her occult powers to help him find her. So yeah, they do know that she's a witch. And I swear, if Stan Lee returns to writing and has some big witch reveal, I'm gonna be pretty choked. And I was writing these as I was reading them, so I didn't have the foreknowledge that I do now. So I'm saying this kind of redundant in me saying it because I wrote it before I read it. So, Anyway, she can only briefly find Crystal in her crystal ball and then goes away for 3 issues. Stan Lee does return to write issue number 120, the first appearance of Airwalker. Agatha just Mufasa's in and tells them about a danger to mankind. She can say no more, this is just a heads up. The danger is Gabriel the Airwalker. He's a herald of Galactus, and I wish this video was about him. More Agatha Harkness in Fantastic Four number 123. So Galactus is attacking and he agrees to stop it if the Silver Surfer rejoins him. Just another Tuesday. Galactus leaves. But the military keeps attacking or something, and Reed and the Silver Surfer go to Agatha to ask for help, and she says she'll help just as soon as Franklin is asleep. The Silver Surfer does point out that it's bold of Reed to leave his son in the care of a witch, to which Reed replies that he didn't know at the time. So that's something. But she helps by using magic to project Reed's face all across the world in every language to tell them that Galactus is gone and the threat is over. And I'm just picturing a guy waking up in Australia without knowing any of this was even happening, to just Reed's face floating here being like, everything's fine, like, crikey! That's how the Australian guy would react. He was startled out of bed, probably drinking the night before. Nice tall Fosters. That's Australian beer. Issue number 127 has Roy Thomas writing now. John Buscema is still doing the art all this whole time. Reed and Sue are visiting Franklin, and Agatha says that there's an alarm in your car, and the alarm then goes off. And they're like, how did you know? She's like, I can say no more, blah, 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 same old. Now on to issue 129, and I do, believe me, I understand this video is less interesting than others, but thanks for sticking with it this far. I thought there'd be some more interesting stuff, but she's really just the nanny for the Fantastic Four. Like, that's it. Like, she just takes care of the kid, kind of does a bit of a Madam Web for them, only Madam Web would actually give Spider-Man some, you know, information. She's just like, you're in danger. And I'm like, yeah, we're the Fantastic Four. We live in danger. Come on, old lady. Can you tell us more? She's like, no, I can't. Goodbye. Like, fuck. She does interesting stuff later. Not really, though, but somewhat. But, geez. Anyway, with issue 129, she Mufasa's out of nowhere, but she at least does something this time to further her own narrative. She tells them that something came up and she can no longer care for Franklin. They must come get him at once, and she can say no more. Sue goes and gets Franklin in the next issue, but we don't see anything from Agatha until nearly a year later with issue 140, where Jerry Conway is now writing for John Buscema's art. There's something odd about Franklin, and Sue is looking for answers. Then her car drives itself right up to Agatha Harkness, and she says that there is indeed something that concerns Franklin and Sue, and then she magics them all out of the way and out of the issue. In the next issue, we learn that Agatha Harkness was actually working for Annihilus. I was kind of hoping there'd be something where it was Agatha all along, right, for synergy, but no, she was just working for Annihilus, like, very briefly. When she called and said, I gotta quit looking after Franklin, that's because Annihilus had gotten to her at that point. So, like, nothing. Like, realistically, you think that the Fantastic Four are leaving their baby with someone who would then be revealed to be a witch, and she's like really old. She's like 400, they don't say that yet, but we learn later she's 400 years old. She's really old, she's old. Her power is withering, right? And then she has with her the child of these two superheroes who ends up being the most powerful mutant in all of history. And she could be like, I'm going to use this baby for my power and restore my own... restore my powers, you know, something like that. But no, it's just nothing. It's just nothing. Stan Lee in a comic about superheroes that explore the galaxy, and they're, you know, scientists and researchers and explorers, and then there's a witch, and there could be so many more interesting things. Like, the Venture Brothers has a similar dynamic with Dr. Orpheus, who is like magic and stuff, and it's like, that's interesting. It was way later and stuff, and it's not apples and oranges, but like, god damn it, Agatha Harkness is just a boring old biddy who did nothing. Annihilus was controlling her and made her kidnap Sue. Basically, Annihilus wants Franklin for his power, and though Agatha's power is halved in the negative zone, they still manage to win, and Agatha does teleport them home, and then Reed blasts Franklin with a gun that turns him into a vegetable. So that was about 17 appearances over 4 years, and she's just, like I said, the Fantastic Four's nanny. But now, at this point, we actually dive out of the Fantastic Four era and into her Avengers era. So we're gonna touch on that just a bit here with Avengers number 127, and I'm gonna lump a bunch of issues together here, because it's the wedding of Crystal and Quicksilver, and we get a large gathering of Avengers, Inhumans, and the Fantastic Four, and that includes Agatha, who they now say is an unofficial member of the Fantastic Four. I guess she's caring for Franklin again? Ultron attacks, and Franklin awakens and takes him out, and then is powerless and just fine. Again, like I said, I'm just focusing on what's going on with Agatha. There's so much else happening in these issues, but with Franklin all good in the head and not a vegetable anymore, Agatha's like, well, good, I don't need to take care of him anymore, and that frees me up to take care on another charge. Hey, Scarlet Witch, I can kind of read your mind, I guess, but you yearn to learn how to use your powers. And Scarlet Witch is like, but I'm not really a witch, it's just the name I took. I have magic mutant abilities. It's like, yeah, but you want to learn some real magic, right? Yeah, oh no, that'd be great. Well, then come with me if you want to learn magic. And then she does, and that's when the Scarlet Witch and the that's when the Scarlet Witch and Agatha Harkness would cross paths, and she would become a student and learn actual magic and things like that. They fought a demon in Avengers Mansion, and Vision was like, I'm jealous of the tiger spending with her, I'm a robot. Never been a big fan of Scarlet Witch and Vision together. Skewer me in the comments if that's what you want to do. But they went on, and Agatha was there, and they had their children, and Agatha was there for that, and Agatha was just kind of around doing witchy stuff, and then she was like, hey, Scarlet Witch, this is way later, you're going crazy and you're gonna kill the Avengers and disassembled. So Scarlet Witch actually kills her, and she stayed dead for quite a while till WandaVision came out, and everybody's like, hey, Katherine Hahn's playing Agatha Harkness and she's hot. So they brought her back to life in the comics and restored her youth, and she ended up being a teacher at Strange Academy, and she's all hot in the comics now. And that's Agatha freaking Harkness, a character I've never been very familiar with and just don't want to be familiar with. It's Agatha Harkness, you know, like, kids aren't reading comics thinking, I want to see these old people, you know? Nobody wants a solo Aunt May adventure. Yeah, maybe, actually, We do a fried green tomatoes thing with that man, Agatha Harkness. I don't know. Guys, I've been Haus. And I guarantee the next video of mine that is an early evolution is going to be a little different than usual. Just mark my words and look for that in a week or two. Stay Haussy, folks. I will catch you later. Agatha Harkness.